Welcome to Mr. Greenvestor. If you are new here, we simplify complex financial systems into actionable steps for your future security. Most people think a secure retirement is just about hitting a savings number, but it is actually about the order in which you spend that number. If you are over 45 and you have been diligent, maxing out your 401k and perhaps securing a pension, you have done the hard part. You have built the asset. But there is a hidden risk in your success. If you do not have a specific plan for how to withdraw that money, those assets will stack up on top of each other later in life to create a massive tax bill. The common mistake is to claim Social Security early to protect your nest egg. It feels safer to hold on to your savings and let the government pay you first. But this approach often leads to higher lifetime taxes and less protection against running out of money. Let's look at exactly how to reverse this order to lower your lifetime tax bill and make your money last longer. The golden window and the tax torpedo. To understand why the standard approach fails, you need to understand the concept of the golden window. This is the specific period between the day you stop working and the day the IRS forces you to take required minimum distributions, or RMDs. During this time, your wages are gone, but your forced withdrawals haven't started. Your taxable income is likely the lowest it will ever be. You have control over what you show the IRS. But once RMDs hit, usually at age 73, you lose that control completely. If you have a large 401k balance, those forced withdrawals can trigger the tax torpedo. This is a quirk in the tax code that punishes savers for having moderate income alongside Social Security. The IRS uses a formula called combined income to determine how much of your benefit is taxable. It is your adjusted gross income plus any non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security benefit. If this number exceeds certain thresholds, which are quite low, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit becomes taxable. Here's the trap. If you delay touching your 401k until your 70s, you will likely have large RMDs. These withdrawals increase your combined income. That increase causes more of your Social Security to be taxed. Effectively, for every dollar you are forced to withdraw from your 401k, you might be paying tax on that dollar plus tax on another 85 cents of your Social Security. This creates a functional tax rate that is much higher than your tax bracket suggests. For high earners specifically, this is critical. If you are 45 now and keep maxing your accounts, your future RMDs alone could push you into a higher tax bracket. When you stack a pension and Social Security on top of those RMDs, you have very little room to maneuver. You are essentially locked into a high tax situation for the rest of your life. The money you save to create freedom actually creates a tax obligation you cannot escape. There is also a secondary tax called IRMAA. This stands for the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It is a surcharge on your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. If your income claiming order is inefficient and your adjusted gross income spikes because of RMDs, you will pay significantly more for your health care. It acts like another tax bracket that most people do not see coming until they receive the bill. The bottom line is that hoarding your 401k often backfires. It creates a concentration of taxable income exactly when you want to be simplifying your life. Now that we see why holding on to the 401k can be dangerous, let's look at the first major variable that complicates this picture: the pension. The pension factor: security versus inflation risk. Now let's look at the pension. If you are part of the lucky minority with a defined benefit plan, your planning landscape looks different. You have a guaranteed income floor. This changes your risk capacity because you do not have to rely entirely on your portfolio to keep the lights on. However, this security comes with a specific and often overlooked trade-off that most people ignore until it is too late. The vast majority of private sector pensions are fixed. They do not adjust for inflation. A check for $3,000 a month might feel substantial when you retire at 65. But if inflation runs at its historical average of 3%, the purchasing power of that check gets cut in half in roughly 24 years. By the time you are 89, that same check buys significantly less groceries, gas, and healthcare. The risk here isn't that the market crashes. The risk is that your income slowly loses its ability to pay for your life. That safe income is actually shrinking in real terms every single year you stay alive. This is why relying solely on a fixed pension can be dangerous. This brings us to the most critical decision you will face with your pension: the choice between a monthly annuity or a lump sum payout. The annuity certainly feels safer. It is a paycheck for life. But mathematically, that annuity fills up your lowest tax brackets immediately. If your pension pays you $40,000 a year, you have already used up your standard deduction and your 10% and 12% tax brackets before you withdraw a single dime from your 401k. This creates a crowding effect. Because your floor income is high, any money you pull from your 401k for extra spending or emergencies gets pushed into higher marginal tax brackets. You lose the flexibility to manage your tax bill because the pension income is rigid. It arrives every month whether you want it to or not, and the IRS taxes it as ordinary income. You effectively lose the ability to control your own tax rate, forcing every future dollar you touch to be taxed at 22% or higher. On the other hand, taking a lump sum gives you control. You can roll that capital into an IRA and decide when to recognize the income. You essentially trade a guarantee for the ability to manipulate your taxable income year by year. This keeps your taxable income low in those early retirement years, preserving the golden window we discussed earlier. If you take the monthly payments, that window shrinks dramatically. You have less space to perform Roth conversions or tax-efficient withdrawals because your baseline income is already elevated. You might find yourself pushed into the tax torpedo zone simply because the pension fills up the safe space under the thresholds. The decision often comes down to who holds the risk. With an annuity, the company holds the longevity risk. They have to pay you no matter how long you live. With a lump sum, you hold the longevity risk. You have to make the money last. But remember, the pension usually lacks inflation protection. If you need an income source that actually grows with the cost of living and provides true longevity insurance, we need to look at a different tool. This brings us to the most powerful and misunderstood asset for long-term security: your Social Security benefit. The Social Security Bridge Strategy. This brings us to the bridge strategy, which is arguably the most effective method for solving the tax torpedo problem while simultaneously reducing your longevity risk. The concept is straightforward, even if it feels counterintuitive to most savers. Instead of claiming Social Security early to preserve your 401k balance, you do the exact opposite. You use your 401k assets to pay for your living expenses during your 60s. You intentionally drain the volatile taxable account so that you can delay claiming the guaranteed tax-advantaged asset, your Social Security benefit. You need to look at the math of delay to understand why this works so well. For every single year you wait to claim Social Security past your full retirement age, your benefit increases by roughly 8%. This is not a market return that fluctuates with the economy. It is a guaranteed increase written into federal law. Furthermore, this 8% growth is inflation adjusted. There is almost no other safe asset in the world that offers an 8% real return guaranteed by the United States government. If you claim at age 62, you accept a permanent reduction. If you wait until age 70, you receive the maximum possible benefit, which can be 76% higher than the check you would have received at 62. When you compare the two assets side by side, the logic becomes clear. Your 401k is a finite bucket of money. It is subject to market risk. If the market crashes 20% the year you retire, your safe withdrawal rate plummets. It is fully taxable as ordinary income, and the government forces you to withdraw it later whether you need it or not. Social Security, on the other hand, is longevity insurance. You cannot outlive it. It is immune to stock market crashes, and if you manage your provisional income correctly, it is extremely tax efficient. By spending down the 401k first, you are effectively selling a risky asset to buy a guaranteed annuity that pays out more the longer you live. There is also a massive tax arbitrage opportunity here. Remember the golden window we discussed earlier. If you retire at 62 and live off your 401k, you are filling up your low tax brackets with 401k withdrawals. You might pay 12% or 22% on that money today. If you leave that money in the account to grow until age 73, it compounds. When RMDs hit, that larger balance forces huge withdrawals that could be taxed at 24%, 32%, or higher due to the Tax Torpedo and IRMAA surcharges. You are essentially choosing to pay taxes on the seed today rather than paying taxes on the entire harvest tomorrow at a much higher rate. By reducing the 401k balance now, you lower the future RMDs, which keeps your combined income lower, which in turn protects your Social Security from being double taxed. For married couples, this strategy serves a dual purpose as spousal protection. This is often the deciding factor for my clients. When the first spouse passes away, the household loses the smaller of the two Social Security checks. The survivor keeps only the higher benefit. If the higher earner claimed at 62, the survivor is left with that permanently reduced amount for the rest of their life. If the higher earner bridges with the 401k and waits until 70, they leave the survivor with the maximum possible monthly income. This protects the surviving spouse, statistically likely to be the wife, from a drastic drop in standard of living during their final years, effectively acting as a life insurance policy that you don't have to pay premiums for. The decision matrix executing your plan. Now that you understand the mechanics, we need to determine if this strategy fits your specific household. We can use a decision matrix to simplify this choice, particularly for the high earner age 45 to 55 who is currently accumulating assets. The presence of a pension is usually the pivot point that dictates your path. If you expect a pension, you are in a race against time. Your guaranteed income floor will already fill up the lower parts of your tax brackets. This means your golden window for getting money out of your 401k at low rates is incredibly small or non-existent. You must prioritize tax diversification right now. You cannot afford to arrive at retirement with only a large pre-tax 401k and a pension. If you do, your RMDs will stack on top of your pension to push you into the highest marginal brackets. You should consider directing new contributions to Roth accounts immediately or planning for aggressive Roth conversions the moment you retire, even if it means paying some tax now. Having Roth assets gives you a source of tax-free income that does not increase your combined income, allowing you to manage your bracket. If you do not have a pension, your 401k is your bridge. You have more flexibility, but the discipline required is higher. You must plan to spend that account first. Your goal is to lower the balance of your traditional 401k significantly by the time you turn 73. This reduces your future RMDs, which keeps you out of the tax torpedo zone, allowing your delayed Social Security benefit to be taxed less. The biggest hurdle here is not mathematical, it is emotional. We call this longevity fear. You have spent 40 years building that nest egg. You view that balance as your scorecard of success, so seeing it decline feels like you are losing the game. Watching the balance drop month after month because you are living off it feels terrifying. It feels like you are going broke. Meanwhile, Social Security is sitting there, offering you a monthly check that feels like a lifeline. Your instinct screams to grab the lifeline and hoard the savings, but you must trust the math. You are spending down a volatile asset to purchase a secure, inflation-protected income stream that you cannot outlive. You are not losing money, you are transferring wealth from a taxable bucket to a tax-advantaged, guaranteed bucket. To summarize, the reverse order hierarchy for most high net worth retirees should look like this. First, spend your taxable brokerage accounts and traditional 401k assets. This is your bridge. Use this money to delay the other sources. Second, optimize your pension decision. If you take the lump sum, it joins the first bucket. If you take the annuity, it raises your floor but reduces your flexibility. This lack of flexibility is the price you pay for the security of the annuity. Third, claim Social Security last. This is your buffer against inflation and old age. There are, of course, exceptions where this strategy does not apply. If you have a serious health condition and do not expect to live past age 75, claiming Social Security early makes sense. You want to get as much out of the system as possible while you can. If you are single with no heirs and no concern for leaving a legacy, you might prefer to preserve liquidity for your own comfort. Or, if you simply have no other assets and need the cash flow immediately to survive, you obviously must claim what is available. But for the saver who has built a strong balance sheet, the bridge strategy is the most efficient path to securing your retirement. Conclusion: securing your future. The bottom line is that spending your 401k first isn't reckless. It is a strategic move to buy a larger, tax-efficient Social Security benefit later. For high earners with pensions, your golden window for low taxes is short, so timing matters immensely. This system isn't about getting rich quick. It is about ensuring your plan works for the long haul. Take one small step today. Check your Social Security statement and see how delaying could change your financial picture forever. If this breakdown helped you understand the math, consider subscribing to the channel for more practical steps to secure your future wealth. I'll see you in the next video.